What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again, and welcome back to another Destiny lore breakdown, and kind of a rant, about 50-50. It's been a minute since we've done a proper rant. Today we are discussing the events of Season 15, Episode 7. Now, let me tell you, the proverbial shit has hit the proverbial fan, within the Destiny universe, at least when it comes to the Awoken family drama, which has basically taken a fairly predictable path. Crow found out who he was! Gasp, shock, horror, lightning crackle, no one on the face of the planet saw that coming!
You were kind to me. I thought you were my friend.
Am I not?
You lied to me!
I helped you break Xivu Aras's hold on the shore, brought you to the last city, offered you guidance.
Stop.
If that's what you want.
I want the truth.
I was kind to you because I wanted to be. Because the truth hurts. You know this better than anyone. Shrinking away from the rumors of the man you used to be.
I'm not him.
How can you say that when you don't even know who he is? If the truth is what you really want, then lay your hand on me.
Crow, don't. Please.
See? Even your ghost thinks you're better off in the dark.
Crow, don't. Don't come any closer. What did you show him?
Everything.
No, wait! You hurt him.
Someone had to. Better for it to have come from a friend. Don't give me that look. I told you that you can't stop the inevitable. Deep down, Crow wanted to know. He was going to find out one way or another, guardian taboos or no. You should thank me. Just imagine if it had come from someone with bad intentions. Someone who could have colored the truth about how he died to turn him against you. Against the Traveler. But I would never do such a thing. I see too much of myself in him. We were both looking for our purpose. Now that the Crow has found his as a guardian, he can see it for what it truly is. A second chance. Something to reflect on. If people didn't want him to know, was it to protect Crow from himself? Or was it to protect themselves from Crow? I do so enjoy our talks.
This is one of the better written moments in all of Destiny. It's intimate. The three biggest people, for lack of a better word, in Crow's life since he was resurrected, us, Glint, and Savathun, all stand before him as he struggles with the lies or the truth that Savathun has told him. He stands on the precipice of ultimate revelation, and we watch, helpless, wordless, motionless, as he takes that leap. It has stakes. What will happen when Crow removes his hand from Savathun's crystal shell? A shell we should note she can still exude her power through. Who will return from that vision quest? Will it be Crow? Will it be Aldrin? Will it be some amalgamation? Has Savathun betrayed us? Or is this merely one last petulant fuck you to Mara before Mara betrays Savathun and guts Savathun like a fish? Because as we see in the lorebook Ripples, entry art, Mara hopes with enough breadcrumbs that she can lead Crow back to being Aldrin. Take a listen. Petrovenge hangs her head and examines the hilt of her sheathed knife. Transmat particles still swirl in the air around her like tiny flecks of dust as she steps forward back through the Helm Gate to answer her queen's summons. Morozov's voice washes over the chamber's stone and crystal. He belongs here, Petra. This place draws his old self out. She pauses, knowing Petra will be silent while allowing her to steepen the words. You saw it too. He should have never been allowed to leave. Wish I hadn't, Petra says with a heavy sigh. How am I to proceed? Mara stands on the terrace above her. Give him only morsels of who he could be. Nothing substantial. He is a canvas on which work has already begun. I mean only to guide that work to a familiar conclusion. Such things cannot be rushed. Petra shifts her stance anxiously. You're sure? Are you questioning me, Petra? Never, my queen. But I do worry that he is vulnerable to Savathun's influence, Petra offers. She clearly has taken an interest in him for some time now, and he clearly reciprocates that interest. Your words hold no falsehood. You and I will mitigate this danger. If Crow and Aldrin are to meet, it must be a subtle progression. Mara leans over the terrace railing. I believe my brother's recovery is possible. Petra, will you help me? Without a moment's hesitation, Petra responds, I will do anything you ask, my queen. But doubts sprout in her mind. If he does become problematic. Petra trails off, searching for the right words. You need not worry, Mara smooths. If Savathun moves to exploit him, I will put an end to it myself. So, did Savathun, in one last act of defiance, stop Crow from ever reverting back to Aldrin? Did she save Crow's life, protect him from Mara, because she legitimately cares about Crow? That's what I think happened. I don't think there's a twist here. Not when it comes to us, not when it comes to Crow. Perhaps a final fuck you to Mara, who would have turned Crow back into Aldrin and used him as her own personal weapon, absolutely. And now Crow is cognizant of who he was, and he doesn't like it. He does not want to be that man.
Aldrin Sov, awoken prince, brother to the queen, murderer. Now I know the man I was. And you. I'm sorry. You did what you had to do. I don't think I would have told me either. Savathun's visions were like a waking dream. I could feel the heat of the flames, taste the blood in my mouth. I saw everything he did through his eyes. You're afraid of who I used to be, that he'll come back somehow. I am too. So I've asked Ikor to put me on another assignment. One where I can be somewhere I know my choices are my own. Tell Mara. Tell her whatever you want. I'll see you again when I'm ready.
But, given the lore card art, did Savathun just poison the well that is Crow, and set him at odds with the Queen of the Awoken, which would set Mara at odds with us and the city at large? A mistake that could destroy the tenuous alliance between the city and the Awoken? After all, in one corner we have Mara, who wants the weapon she sought to forge from the remains of her brother's inevitable demise. In the other, we have Crow, and what I believe to be his next step in evolution as a character, taking up the mantle of Hunter Vanguard as per Cade's Vanguard Dare. Is Savathun, by doing this, strengthening or weakening the city for the wars to come? Is Mara even an ally we can continue to trust? How much of Witch Queen will see us working with Savathun? How much of this is a bait and switch? Does Savathun right now seek to end the Endmaster of the great game, to step off the path of collapse, only to, in the 11th hour at the end, abdicate that power and watch as we, the player, remake the universe as the final shape? Like she was Destiny's version of Durandal, who knows? But all of these narrative plot threads are in play, right here, right now, in this one moment, as Crow reaches up to Savathun and is shown who he once was. Crow is a character that Bungie has spent a great deal of time over the last year writing, trying to make the audience like him, as they flesh out his redemption arc. He is quite possibly one of, if not the most developed characters in all of Destiny, including the player character. And yet, this is how his moment of self-actualization is presented?
I did
and this is our role in it, as Crow's BFF for life and the main character of the fucking game, might as well be this. Oh, hello there, other shoe. I see you've decided to drop. For all the weight that this narrative moment holds, being the climax of a year's worth of storytelling and character development, is presented absolutely, positively like an unmitigated clusterfuck. It's a disaster of narrative design and cohesion. There's a reason why you use cinematics like this for emotional storytelling.
This is Cade we're talking about. For us to do nothing is
Say it.
cowardice.
I refuse to bury any more friends.
In this in-engine cinematic, from the beginning of Forsaken, we can see how emotion is conveyed. We aren't fucking with camera angles to get everything in frame, to make sure that we can see all the players in an angle that's best suited for the moment. Here, you're not missing the subtleties of character expression, of nuance in the voice. Here, there is a flow to what's being shown. This is a well-choreographed moment of emotional tension between three people with a lot of history together, dealing with loss. Even if we're largely nothing more than a fly on the wall, as Ikora and Zavala navigate the delicacies of what should be done, what can be done, what must be done, all while searching for a solution that we give them.
You won't have to. Aldrin Sov is mine.
And then you have this week's Crow cinematic. This is the presentation of Crow's character-defining moment. Are you fucking or kidding me right meow? Is this a joke? Am I on candid camera? Is a Bungie dev gonna pop out of the woodwork and go, bruh, it was just a prank? This should be choreographed and framed properly. Instead, we get this mess, where you can't really see the expressions on the characters' faces, you can't really pan from character to character as they speak, the nuance in Crow's grief and frustration and horror is lost as you fumble around from place to place to find somewhere to stand that lets you experience it. This is just bad, and should not have been how the climax of Crow's year-long character development was depicted. The other issue here is how essentially superfluous our character is. You may have been able to explain that away back in other seasons or DLCs, but this isn't like Season of the Splicer, where you'll excuse me for not having the clip where you're sent to witness Saint, Mithrax, and Lakshmi argue, where an argument could be made that the player doesn't really have any agency in this moment and just went down there to make sure that everything stayed peaceful between all the parties involved. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a dumb excuse given that the moment is framed as the hero of the city, the god killer, is taking time out of their busy schedule of saving the city to go arbitrate this conflict, only to just stand there and do nothing. But it is an argument you can kind of sort of justify. However, here, Crow is supposed to be our new BFF for life. Bungie's made a lot of story decisions in regard to our character and their personality. So much so that the whole nameless, faceless, silent protagonist angle largely become utter bullshit. What do I mean? Well, at the start of Destiny 2, the player character is clearly off somewhere doing something.
Anyone home? No response on any channels, even the emergency frequencies. What is going on back there? Remember when I told you that you fly too fast? Forget I said that. Fly fast.
They've left behind their gear, and Bungie has even superimposed the character trait that our character likes to fly fast. This is a small, inconsequential thing. It's narrative liberties taken to set up the start of a game where we lose all of our gear. It's understandable. It checks out. We see this again with the death of Cade 6. Cade was most certainly a fan favorite. I mean, hell, I named my cat after him. The narrative of Forsaken does center around us getting vengeance for the murder of the funny robot friend, regardless of whether or not the player actually liked Cade. This is an instance where a character in the game, due to fan feedback and fan favoritism, is treated as the main character's BFF, regardless of what the player actually thinks of that character. Then there's the Bastion lore, and it's noted that Bastion is apparently our favorite weapon. Now, I use these examples because they were small. If you wanted to accuse me of nitpicking, I would probably even agree, and that's kind of the point, because these are largely inoffensive hijackings of the player character. Two of these are the setup for the narrative, and the other is a side note. In the grand scheme of things, they don't really matter. However, what it does show is that Bungie is willing to hijack our character and superimpose personality traits onto them for the smallest and stupidest of things, or whenever they need to do so as a crutch for the narrative. But now we come to what is quite possibly the most egregious iteration of this: the entire player character's relationship with Crow. There is a lot of people who still do not like Crow, but canonically, the player character and Crow are BFFs for life. Hell, Bungie has even written fanfiction about our character becoming friends with Crow. See the Hawkmoon lore card. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing for the umpteenth time, but this is the part that I want to go over. The fire has nearly died. The Crow fell over and cannot stand, though he insists he's fine. The Guardian is turning the embers with the tip of their sword. The ghosts are talking to one another in quiet conspiracy. The celebration has ended, but I can sense their emotions are mixed, complex, and midrid thing, when a simple, singular focus would suffice. There's a growing kinship here against better judgment. So what about players that still hate Crow? Fuck them? Fuck their character's autonomy? Then what's the point of being an ageless, faceless, nameless, genderless, action-adventure person, a silent protagonist? If Bungie at a whim is going to superimpose character traits and relationships onto our character. After all, the premise of being a silent protagonist is to allow the player to fill in the shoes of that character and dictate how that character would interact with the world. And yet, Bungie seems keen to just do whatever they want with our character whenever they want to, but not in such a way that gives our character agency within the narrative of the world. Past IR person who are gonna go shoot big boss thing. We are categorically the galaxy's most skilled errand boy. And look, I'm not saying that our character has to start giving diatribes and lectures. Stick to the Halo Reach, Noble Six, Master Chief character archetype, where they have a personality, they have input to conversations, but they're a person of few words. I mean, sure, I would absolutely, positively love a Mass Effect style Destiny, but I doubt we'll be able to get that until Destiny 3. So in the meantime, I will take just enough integration into the narrative that we're not just standing there, little more than a camera attached to a gun, when characters that we're supposed to have these relationships with, that have been superimposed onto our character by Bungie, are having these moments of crisis. The narrative dissonance is just appalling, and it's just bad storytelling to not have our character interact. Bungie is trying to have their cake and eat it too. They tell us that we have this relationship with Crow, and I would be hard-pressed to deny that there's at least an interesting dynamic there. We're Crow's friend, after hunting him down in his past life and murdering him. As this season has so blatantly laid out, for those of you who somehow didn't hear the Ace of Spades fire in that cinematic, another choice, mind you, made on Bungie's part for the player, just saying, and this dynamic has led to some good storytelling. But in the 11th hour, when it was time to execute, Bungie drops the ball. This not cinematic is quite possibly a masterclass in, it doesn't matter how strong your story is, it doesn't matter how well you've built it up, or developed your characters. If your execution is piss poor, you break immersion and absolutely ruin the payoff of all of that work. As the saying goes, you can tell a good story poorly, and that makes it a bad story. On that same note, you can tell a bad story fantastically, and that makes it a good story. It's all about presentation and execution. So while I give Bungie an A for all the ideas and the build-up, I have to give them an F on presentation. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. But above all else, stay frosty.